Now, once we have looked at the types of financial markets that alternative investments trade, with our next responsibility is to try and look at the different types of regulation on this side. We are saying that the types of financial markets include these three subdivisions. Now we are saying that the regulation is what we will be looking at. Now, under the regulation, what we are saying is important is that the regulation in the UK is different from that in the US. In the US, we're saying hedge fund infrastructure or the trading within the hedge fund market is less regulated as compared to that in the UK. We're saying that regulation, so you can say regulation is necessary in any market. However, overregulation deters investors from participating in financial markets. We can say from participating freely in financial markets, freely in financial markets, deterring capital flows. Now, what we need to say is that under the five categories of alternative investments, real assets, I can write it in full, real assets, commodities, structured products, including the asset-backed securities and mortgage-backed securities, structured products, and then hedge funds and private equity, in the UK, you can be able to find that these are much less regulated as compared to traditional investments, like in the UK versus the US. And the UK much less regulated, but we are saying in the US is where we have a lax regulatory environment with, in particular, these real assets. We're saying that here we have a lax regulatory environment as far as these five asset classes are concerned. Here we are saying is lax, but there is some form of regulation, but there is some form of regulation, like that. So that is in the UK versus in the US. There's nothing much we need to say under regulation, because we are saying that generally we already know that alternative investments are less regulated as compared to traditional investments, where we are saying traditional investments may, to some extent, some researchers have actually found that they may be over-regulated as compared to alternative investments. However, as compared to the UK and the US, there is a lax regulation that applies to real assets, or these five asset classes, as compared to the US. In the US, you have a lax regulatory environment, particularly to hedge funds. Here, we're saying hedge fund performance reporting can be done not necessarily in a structured way, but it is upon the fund to state when it will be able to provide the performance reports on a year-to-year basis there. In the UK, there is some form of requirement for them to at least provide some form of historical performance, so that when investors, institutional investors and individual investors want to invest in those funds, then we are saying that they can be able to at least have a track record. They can be able to have a guide as to see which is the best hedge fund to consider investing in. Now, that is it about regulation there.